my name is Mimi Nazira with a matrix number of 297352. I will begin with a brief executive summary of the Jet Airways case. Jet Airways was once one of the Indian's leading full-service airlines, founded and led by Naresh Goyal. Under his visionary leadership, the airline achieved rapid growth, built a strong brand, and expanded successfully into international markets. At this stage, leadership and service quality were the airline's major strengths. However, as Jet Airways expanded, it began facing serious strategic and financial pressures. High operating costs, increasing debts, rising fuel prices, and intense competition from low-cost carriers significantly weakened its financial position. The market also shifted towards price-sensitive consumers, while Jet Airways continued to operate with a premium cost structure. Despite these warning signs, the airline failed to adapt. Leadership remained highly centralized, government structures were weak, and also crisis management was largely reactive. As a result, Jet Airways was unable to restructure early, leading to the liquidity problems, loss of stakeholders' confidence, and also the eventual operational collapse. Moving to the statement of the problem, the key issue lies in leadership and also strategic inflexibility. The main problem faced by Jet Airways was its inability to respond effectively to financial distress due to over-centralized, founder-driven leadership. Decision-making remained concentrated at the top, limiting professional management's ability to act quickly during the crisis. In addition, Jet Airways also suffered from the strategic misalignment. The airline continued with a high-cost, premium business model despite growing competition from low-cost carriers and also changing consumer preference. This placed continuous pressure on the profitability and also the cash flow. Furthermore, the airline lacked strong corporate governance and risk management framework. Crisis responses were delayed and focused on short-term survival rather than long-term restructuring. As financial risk escalated into operational failure, Jet Airways ultimately collapsed despite its strong brand and also the early success.
So next, we will see the causes of the problems. So firstly, failed acquisitions and poor strategic choices. So Jet Airways spent a significant amount of money acquiring Air Sahara, which was already making a losses. Instead of strengthening their company, these acquisitions increased the Jet Airways debt and further weakened its financial positions. For the second one is the inability to compete with the low-cost carriers. So Jet Airways struggled to match with the low fares offered by the budget airlines such as Indigo. As a result, the company experienced a decline in their market share and shrinking their profit margins, this making it harder to sustain their operations. So for the third one is due to the weak financial management and high debt. So this airline faced high operating costs and poor cash flow management. So continuous losses means that Jet Airways was unable to meet its salary obligations and debt repayments, which eventually lead to severe financial distress. And finally is because of their leadership rigidity and poor corporate governance, because the management was reluctant to reduce control or make quick decisions during the crisis. So this discouraged potential investors and slow down their recovery efforts and worsening the overall situation. So that's all from my part, and I will pass to the next presenter for further explanation.
So for my part, I will explain the decision criteria, which is what? For strength, first, premium brand image. An image of a full-service carrier, a high-class airline with a reputation of punctuality and the joy of flying. Second, strong corporate base. This is a good alternative among the business travelers as it offers a wide range of flight network and reward scheme, which is jet privilege. Third, global footprint. It serves as a strong international network connecting India to key hubs such as London, Dubai, Singapore, and New York. And last, for strategic alliance, a major collaboration was with Etihad Airways that gained capital and code share. Next, for weaknesses. First, high operating costs. Since it was a full-service carrier, the cost base was much more than the new low-cost carriers. Second, management rigidity. Founder Naresh Goyal was too heavy-handed in his management, and thus it's difficult to raise external funds at the most crucial time. Third, diverse fleet. The fleet consisted of various kinds of airplanes such as Boeing, Airbus, and ATR, which raised maintenance and training expenses. And last, debt mountain. The huge borrowings incurred to expand and also the acquisition of Sahara causes the huge interest payments. Four opportunities. First, emerging Indian middle class. A huge influx of first-time flyers in India. Second, available cargo market. The growth of air freight demand in the Indian domestic markets. And last, growth in tourism. The government efforts to develop tourism gave a prospect of new routes to international and domestic ones. And last, for the threats. First, emergence of LCC. Jet FSC model has become unsustainable as airlines such as SpiceJet and Indigo are ruthlessly cutting the price. Second, unstable fuel price. ATF price volatility had a large negative effect on low profit margin. Economic downfalls. Recessions directly resulted in decline in business travel, which was the main sources of revenue in jet. Next decision criteria is pastel analysis. First, political. India was one of the most costly destinations in the globe to run an airline due to the high tax on jet fuel. Second, economical. For economical, currency fluctuation, fuel and aircraft lease pricing are in USD. Therefore, the decline of the Indian rupee had a great effect on the operating expenses of jet. As interest rates. India had high interest rate, thus rendering it virtually impossible to service its billion-dollar debt in the years of crash crunch. Third, social. Price sensitivity. Indian consumer market had reached a very price-sensitive stage, shifting towards luxury flying to the functional, low-cost and flying. Next, alteration of traveling behaviors. The move to digital meetings at the initial level and online reservation transform the way consumers interact with luxury brands. Next, technological. Online distribution. With the emergence of online travel agency, there was the emergence of a fare war where jet was forced to reduce its price in order to remain visible in search results. Next, fuel efficiency. The old fleet models lost their competitiveness with the newer fuel-efficient aircraft such as A321 utilized by competitors. For environmental, carbon emission standards, the growing pressure on the world to minimize the carbon footprint of the aviation sector mean that fleet and operation had to be costly upgraded. Next, for noise pollution regulation, tighter restriction in domestic airports such as Heathrow made flight slot times and price. Lastly, legal. For labor laws, the difficulty of dealing with a huge workforce which is 13,000 plus employee and legal necessities concerning uncompensated salaries and gratuities when it become insolvent. And next, IBC framework. The insolvency and bankruptcy schedule furnish the legal process of the liquidation of the airline and the ultimate tender by the Jalan Kalorok Consortium. That's all from my part. Thank you.
The first and most critical step is institutionalizing leadership and governance. As we discussed, Naresh Goyal's refusal to dilute equity scared away investors. Our solution starts with a hard pivot, transitioning from founder-centric to board-centric governance. This means Naresh Goyal must step back from operational control. In his place, we appoint a crisis turnaround CEO, an independent professional with no emotional attachment to the old ways. This is not just about changing a title, it's about signaling to the market and lenders that the airline is finally ready to make tough objective decisions. Once leadership is secured, we move immediately to Pillar 2, aggressive financial deleveraging. The airline was bleeding cash. Our recommendation is an immediate debt-to-equity swap with lenders. This converts the massive debt burden into ownership stakes, instantly reducing interest payments and cleaning up the balance sheet. Simultaneously, we must stop the cash burn by disposing of non-core asset. If a road is not profitable, we cut it. If an asset is not critical, we sell it. We prioritize liquidity over legacy to ensure the airline survive the short term. Finally, we address the identity crisis with Pillar 3, operational rationalization. Jet Airways failed because it tried to be everything to everyone, both a luxury carrier and a budget airline. That stops now. Our recommendation is to commit to a single, clear business model. We focus on the full service carrier model for international long haul routes, where Jet has a competitive advantage, and strictly rationalize domestic operation for efficiency. No more confusion. Every employee and every customer should know exactly what Jet Airways stand for. To conclude, this tragedy was not inevitable. By proactively diluting founder control, restructuring debt early, and picking a clear lane, Jet Airways could have built the organizational resilience it so desperately lacked. The lesson here is simple. In a crisis, adaptability beats authority every time. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
The recommended solution is aggressive financial deleveraging to stabilize the company's critical financial condition. This includes implementing a debt-to-equity swap to reduce interest burden and strengthen the balance sheet. Disposing of non-core assets will generate immediately liquidity and improve cash flow. Overall, this strategy provides financial breathing space for leadership and business model restructuring.
Implementation Phase 1, Stabilization and Governance, 1 to 6 months. Our first priority is the foundation. We cannot fix the airline with the same leadership style that led to its downfall. First, we must institutionalize professional governance. This means moving from Naresh Goyal one-man show to a broad-centric model led by a crisis turnover CEO. Second, we address the debt mountain. We propose an immediate debt to equity swap with the State Bank of India and other creditors. This stops the bleeding from the interest payment. Finally, we must heal the relationship with our 13,000 employees. Paying outstanding salaries is not just a legal duty, it's essential to retain the talent needed for the relaunch. Next, for the second implementation phase 2, orientation rationalization 6 to 12 months. Once stable, we must fix the strategic confusion. Jet Airways tried to be both a luxury airline and a budget carrier. That ends here. We will commit to full service carrier model for high yield international routes. We will ruthlessly exit unprofitable domestic segment. If we cannot beat low cost carriers like Indigo on a specific route, we stop flying it. To generate immediate liquidity, we will sell off non-core asset and older fuel inefficient aircraft. And the last phase is long-term resilience for 12 to 24 months. Phase 3 is about future proofing. We will standardize the fleet, maintaining Boeing, Airbus and ATR planes simultaneously. It's an operational nightmare. Moving to a single vendor fleet lowers maintenance and training costs significantly. We will also deepen our strategic alliance with Etihad Airways. Using their global network also allow us to extend our reach without the massive capital expenditure of buying a new plane. Lastly, we implement a robust risk management framework to hedge against fuel price and currency fluctuation. For justification, the first one is professionalization. The case show that leadership rigidity was a fatal flaw. Professional management ensure objective decision making. And second, solvency. The interest rate on Jet's debt were virtually impossible to service. And lastly is brand strength. Despite the crash, Jet Airways still hold a premium brand image. By focusing on a full service model, we play to our strength rather than fight a price war we cannot win.